I'm Lexi Gilbert with Gilbert Plumbing, and I'll be your host today for Video Podcast Episode 2. Today we have Marty Hatley with Grundfos, and he's here to explain the basic setup and operation of the Grundfos hot water recirculating pump.
Hi, my name is Marty Hatley, and I'm with Grundfos, and I want to talk to you about setting the timer on your Grundfos pump. You've purchased a Grundfos recirculating system in your house, and there's several conveniences and benefits for having this product in your house. The first is the convenience factor, that when you go to a fixture and you turn on the hot water, that you're not having to wait 2 or 3 minutes to get hot water there. So you're not wasting the water for a couple minutes waiting for your water to get hot. You have usable water in a shorter amount of time. The next is the water conservation. You're saving water by not just running all that water down the drain waiting for the hot water to get there. So it's important that you understand how your timer and how your pump works so you can get the most efficiency out of it. Now, both of the timers work exactly the same. So first of all, when you look at the timer, there's 3 positions on the top of the timer. All the way to the left is off. If it's in the off position, your pump will not run. If you move it to the middle position, which is timer, which is the recommended setting for it, so your timer is controlling when the pump runs, then the timer will be controlling it. If you move it all the way to the right, that is on, and the pump will run all the time. There's a few cautions with running your pump all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One, it takes a lot of energy. You're taking the water out of your hot water tank, you're moving it through your hot water system, and it's coming back at a colder temperature, and it'll cause your water heater to fire more. And then the electricity that you use by running your pump all the time, it's expensive. And also, running your pump all the time, it just adds wear and tear to your plumbing system. So the recommended setting is in the middle where the timer is controlling it. Okay? So the first thing that you want to do when you're setting the timer is you want to set the current time. Okay? You can see on the pump over here on this side there is an arrow, and then the times, this is a 24-hour time clock. Okay? So simply take the timer and rotate it to the correct time, so the correct time is indicated by this arrow. Okay? It's very important, if your power goes out at your house, that you come and you reset your timer to the current time, because when your power turns off, your pump will be turned off and the timer will not be running. So the first thing you want to do is look and make sure that the current time is set right. Okay? Now, each one of these dip switches are in 15-minute increments. Okay? So we want you to set your timer about an hour before you wake up in the morning. So go to that time on the clock, and if you want the pump to be on, leave the pins in the out position. Okay? If you want the timer to be off, then push those pins in, and the timer will be off for those increments. So a recommendation is turn your recirc pump on an hour before you typically wake up in the morning, and then turn it off an hour after you leave for work. Turn it back on an hour or so before you come home, and then leave it on until an hour or so after you go to bed. Okay? And you can play with this timer, and it's set in 15-minute intervals, but it gives you a diagram on here. If the pin is pointed out, it's on, and if it's pointed in, it's off. And that's how you set the timer. Both of these pumps, the timer is exactly the same on it. They just look a little bit different from the outside. Okay? Another feature that I want to talk to you about is on this style of pump that we have here. If your pump looks like this, it also has an aquastat on it. And the aquastat is controlled up on top. Okay? How an aquastat works, if the timer or the pump says to run, but the aquastat senses that the water temperature is already up to temperature. It will override the timer. It's just another layer of energy savings and that you can use with your pump. So if you turn it all the way to the left position, it will click, and that is off. As you turn it to the right, you can see a graph on top of your pump where the black line gets thicker. As you turn it to your right, it will become hot, and it'll move to its hottest position. Okay? In the hottest position, it's set at 150 degrees, and in the coldest position, it's set to 95 degrees. So the first thing to check on your pump is if the current time is set correctly. The next thing is to check and make sure that the dip switches are set to when you want the pump to run or the pump to be turned off. And then the next thing is to adjust the temperature on your aquastat.
For more information on today's show, you can visit gilbertplumbing.com, click on Show Notes, Episode 2, for a page of links with more information on today's topic.